I learned more about the entire process of grain farming in this movie.
And it was shot in
That's a
beautiful
bad.
slow-mo too.
Actually, both of these parts of this movie has got me kind of like thinking, has Zach lost it? Because like,
No.
okay,
No. It's not his
I
fault.
love 300.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Tardy to the Party, aka T3P, where us two hooligans talk shop, mainly about the Holy Trinity of pop culture, Marvel, DC, and Star Wars. I'm your boy Jsib, joined by, as always,
And I'm KP.
Today we're doing a little divergence here, following our
From
Zack
both
Snyder.
Trinities. This time it is Zack Snyder time. Usually I like to make the joke that the Trinity is not just Marvel, DC, Star Wars, and I say it's Disney, Amazon, and Warner Brothers. However, now we are not doing any of those three, as this is a Netflix movie review. And what a review this might be.
Rebel
Forewarning,
Moon,
foreshadowing.
Part 2.
Rebel Moon, Scargiver. So this is a movie. Yeah, this is a movie.
I'm supposed to be the Zack guy. I'm supposed to be the Snyder fan. It's not.
I say this movie, actually, both of these parts of this movie has got me kind of like thinking, has Zach lost it? Because like,
No.
okay,
No. It's not his
I
fault.
love 300. I love 300. I love Watchmen.
It's not his
I
fault.
like I like Man of Steel, and I like his Justice League. But fuck, man, a lot of his other movies, I'm like, bro. Fuck. And as I watch part 2, I'm like, well, maybe it would be better if I watched part 1 before, like, we watched them right all in a row. I don't know if that would really save all of it or not. This movie does the same exact... Well, not the same exact, but it almost does. The same exact problem as the first part is like... This movie just kind of does the opposite. This movie, the first hour is a bunch of montages. Literally. Rocky had a montage.
A lot of exposition.
There's a lot of exposition.
But they at least show you it this time.
Yes. And a lot of it just is like, okay, like montage, then all of a sudden just random, like, we need to really know who each one of us is. Like now that's important. Now it's important that these 6 band of merrymen heroes need to know the truth about their backgrounds. Like, okay, like, I don't know. I think the reason they did that is just because, like, let's be honest, if they did it traditionally where we would have gotten all of that out of the way in the first part, well, the first part would be just a snoozer of a movie. You would have just been like,
It would have
what?
It would have had the first Warcraft movie issue. It did, like, that movie did all of the groundwork, did everything it needed to, or if they would have made a second one, all the groundwork was laid. It could have just been a straight banger.
It wasn't even that bad either.
They could have done that with the first Rebel Moon, and it would have we still would have got part 2 either way. All right. Let me, as the Snyder the Snyder fan here, take my copium. I'm still holding out. I'm holding out for the Snyder cuts.
3, 4, 5, and 6. The Snyder cuts. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. The actual rated R version, the one that's actually is what
apparently has
real vision is,
different
not this neutered version again.
I was gonna say, apparently, well, like, he does this shit on purpose, but, like, I mean, the whole has different dialogue and obviously way more violent and all that, and it's like, and again with this movie, there's times where you can tell it's like, oh, that's gonna look bloody and gruesome in the rated R version, like, that's gonna be sick, like the hallway scene or the trench where it goes down into the I was like, oh, this will be violent as all hell in the rated R cut. Like, I was like, I could tell, like, just from watching it. But, anyways, as the movie as a whole, again, it's like you said, a lot of exposition. It's literally it's 2 hours long. The first hour is just montage of, oh, let's get the village ready to fight, and oh, we're gonna give everyone each other's backstory and all this shit. And then, like, the next hour is, like, the battle, which I will say, like, that is why I think this movie deservedly gets shit on, because it's another movie where it's like the plot is so like crap kind of, and there's parts of it even in its development where you're like, okay, this is like cheesy, or this is not that great. And the movie tries to save itself with how cool the action is, which, I mean, it is cool. It's cool, like space and lasers and shit.
You better watch
and
that
like,
mouth, KP. You better watch that mouth.
right, like, it's cool. Like, the way they did lightsabers was different, and it's cool. I thought it was interesting that we decided let's kill off the
I guess we're in spoilers now, everybody.
Oh, well, yeah, whoops. Spoilers, people. I'll hold my tongue for spoilers then at that point. So yeah, so that's really the movie, guys. Like, again, it's a plethora of montage scenes in the first hour, and then the next hour is all action, big battle. Satisfying end to a villain. I will give it that. Very satisfying. Like, oh yes, that is exactly what I wanted. Thank you. Like, yes, yes. And we will get into the spoilers of that. But and again, that's another part of the movie where it's like, oh, the rated R, that's gonna look sick. Like, and then it's kind of sad. Our ending is a little sad. There's other, I don't know. Yeah, I can't say any more without spoiling it.
Yeah, I guess my
rant is done. My rant is done about this movie. Well, at the moment, I'm giving Jsib the floor.
My non-spoiler thoughts would be too much exposition. At least they showed us this time instead of last movie. This band of people, I feel like, even just kind of suffers from the whole, oh, hey, let's now everybody tell each other's backstories. Just like, yeah, it's just kind of unbelievable you guys would come together in the first place. Dialogue's kind of clunky throughout the whole thing at times. There's one scene where it's like, the whole fucking exchange is awkward as hell, and I don't think it was like intentional. Like, I think it was supposed to be like kind of awkward, but like sincere, and it was just very clunky awkward, just not good. Yes, first hour 15 or whatever, very kind of boring, dry. Last 45 minutes ish is nothing but pure action and a big battle, and it's great. Like, the action's great in it. You'll probably never hear me shit on Zach's action work, but once again, alluding to the last review, you can definitely tell that the certain scenes that the punches were pulled. I feel like they leaned a little bit more into the violence in this one, or at least showed a little bit more of it, a little bit in this one than they did in the first one. In a couple, at least in a couple scenes. Yeah, I'm just very much looking forward to the actual full versions, the rated R. And could we please just stop doing these just studio PG-13 cuts? If you're hiring him to make a Zack Snyder movie, let him just make a fucking Zack Snyder movie. Now, if you're hiring him to make a movie that you are writing and producing or whatever, and you just want him as a director, that's fine, do what you will. But I just feel like this,
let's be honest,
I get the marketing,
probably.
I get the marketing thought behind it, and I'm sure it'll work in the end, but dear God, as a fucking someone who likes Snyder's work overall, not saying there's always hits, but
I still
I'm
swear he
just
does
sick of
it
this.
on purpose, but that's just me.
Any publicity is good publicity. I mean, I feel like he gets more interviews now than he ever has in the past.
It's just I swear to God he's doing it on purpose. Swear to God, but that's me.
Swear to God. Swear to God.
Just saying.
I don't know how
Double the
KP.
movies.
I will say at the end of this movie, they kind of set up a third one if it does happen.
Well, he said he
I
wants
actually
to make
kind of was like at
6.
the end of it, I was like, you know what? These first two were kind of mid. At least these PG-13 cuts were mid. But I'm actually looking forward. I'm looking forward to a third one. I guess I don't know how. Like I'm just like, all right, now I'm kind of sold.
He said he wants to make 6 parts, and I'm like, oh my God. And then I was like, oh my God, that's 12 movies because of course, like we're gonna have Snyder cuts. It's more money for him. I'm telling you.
I know it's kind of
God,
brilliant in a way,
it's
but
done on. I was gonna say, I swear to God, it's done on purpose, but that's just me.
All right, now you can spoil it.
I learned more about the entire process of grain farming in this movie.
And it was shot in beautiful slow-mo too.
Shot in beautiful slow-mo, everyone. I'm not even joking. Like the slow-mo breakdown scenes of basically like, this is how you farm for grain out of wheat fields. It's like, cool. I learned something today watching this movie. Exactly like the gist of the process that is grain farming. Like, not even kidding. Like, they literally spend like it's like 5-10 minutes on this shit. I was literally, as I was watching it, I'm like, well, this is kind of educational, huh? It was cool, like whatever. And
well, if nothing else,
like, I don't know. I
got some school rock.
We got more
Schoolhouse Rock. Jesus
Schoolhouse
fuck.
Rock. I mean, to be honest, we were just missing a giant yellow bus, but yeah, like you said, more exposition a ton. So like, that was like my problem with it. Like, I didn't mind our Cora or Atrelius, whatever you want to call her. We got the actual explanation of why she is an outlaw. So basically, and that's the thing about it that's so like, I don't know, kind of goofy to me, is like this general who saw something in her, who raised her to be this literal killing machine, just decided, yeah, I'm gonna like fuck her over when I decide to throw a military coup.
Yeah, it was. I didn't like that either. It was. I literally was sitting there just going, why, and why her of all people? like I guess I understand like framing somebody, but yeah, why her?
Also, the scene entirely. I'm sorry, just what is with the fucking orchestra in the corner?
Oh yeah.
Playing it, like literally they have an orchestra in a corner and they're just playing a cello and all this shit while their fucking emperor of this empire is just getting murdered by these 30 people. And they're just keep going on along, and I'm like, what the hell am I watching? I'm just, like, everyone in this room is in on it. We're gonna kill the fuck out of this dude, his wife, and his daughter. And then we're gonna pin the blame on this girl that I, like, pseudo-abducted and then spent 20 years, like, training to be a badass in my right hand. Fuck her over. She's gonna be our scapegoat. Like, it didn't really sit the best with me. I was like, that is like, I was like, holy fuck, that is lazy writing. Like, I don't know. I just did not like that. So there was that, and
Yeah, I can't argue
then
that.
again, yeah, when they're sitting around and the general is like, we need to know who we are to trust each other, and it's like, oh, that's a concern now, like what?
Not after you all like abandon your previous like
Right.
posts and planets.
Y-
Like,
Right, like you all like abandon your previous lives and were like right away gung ho to follow this strange, mysterious woman and go be this band of like warriors that's gonna save a village, and then like you went through some shit, like literally went through some shit where you all almost got executed, and like now it's like we need to know who we really are to each other. It's like, what the fuck? Like that was again, it's just kind of to me, I'm like, this is like hilariously lazy writing. Like I just you couldn't have developed this movie or the plot line like in any more natural sense. Like the general could have revealed to the guy running the town. Here's my real backstory. The warrior lady that chopped her own which that's fucking crazy. Chops her own fucking arms off so then she can put robot arms on her body because apparently they're programmed to wield the swords in a way that she would never be able to do, which also kind of doesn't make a lot of sense because
um,
it's we're talking about all here, like I don't
I'm a
know.
little confused on that as well. I took it at first as a thing. I'll have to pay attention to whoever else like wields the like magma blades or whatever. I thought it was because when Korra goes to pick up one of the blue ones for the first time at the handle, it like burns her hand. So I
Because she
took
doesn't
it
have
as
gloves on
yeah, I took it almost
because
as
the
like, well,
metal
maybe
is hot.
I took it maybe like they use the metal like forearms or whatever because there's just like no pain and like nerve endings in there. So it's just like they can hold it and the blades can get as hot as whatever and it doesn't like hurt them at all or whatever. But then Korra just started using it, let it cool off for a little bit, and then just used it for a while, and
She
it never.
bandaged it up.
Oh,
She
did she?
bandaged it
Oh, I missed
up.
that.
Yes. It literally like you said, like she goes to touch it and it burns her. Or like when she stabbed him with it, then she like screams in pain because it burnt her fucking hand. And I was like, oh, I guess like the metal of the handle is like hot. That's like why she can't just hold it without gloves on.
Hmm.
And then like right away, like she wrapped it up in bandaging so then she could like wield it. So that's like what the whole thing of it was.
Oh, I don't know how I missed that.
No, it was very quick.
But
But regardless, that
okay, so I guess
lady, like,
that's it then.
so there's the whole thing with that lady, how, like, she lost a child and a family and all that shit, and she was connecting with the little blonde boy. She could have explained her backstory to the little blonde boy. Um, again, like, really, I think to more naturally develop all that, like, exposition of these backstories of these characters, is they could have just explained all that to, like, the townsperson that they were like clearly in connection with because the general was like connected to like the guy running the town. The ex prince had a connection with some other random villager. The girl that was like a slave and then got rescued by the rebels and shit.
Hmm.
She could have just like it I just think that that was so lame how they did that, and I was like, okay, whatever, and
I agree. I think that would have been the
I don't
better
know.
way to do it. I think for whatever reason, there must have just have been like too much of a focus on. I don't know. For whatever reason, Zach felt the need that everybody in the party needed to hear everybody's story instead of just the audience and a certain towns member. But I agree. I think you could have hit a lot more emotional beats the way you explained it. It's just the townsperson or like the prince and the former slave. Like you could have had those two have like a good bonding moment. Um, which I still end up kind of
Felt,
getting later, but it could I felt like you could have had a little bit more impact between those two. But
and then the one towns guy that like Cora or whatever was supposed to like the one they in the first part where they wanted her to hook up with that guy. Like he, gets on the ship with the admiral, and then the admiral ends up killing him, and it's
Oh,
like,
yeah,
but
yeah.
again though, like that character was barely developed, and you like tried to make it out like that was like some like, oh, I feel bad. It's like, I mean, the guy barely had screen time. Like it was kind of like, to me, like not really that. I mean, yeah, it wasn't that significant of a death, but whatever.
Yeah, it just
I
more
guess we
felt
did.
like in the midst of the battle, he was kind of like he was doing work, being kind of a badass, and it's like he just kind of felt like one of those like, oh well, he had a warrior's death kind of feeling, just like
I guess,
he
yeah.
took out a bunch of people with him and he went out like a badass sort of thing. It's kind
Hmm.
of just what it felt like to me. Because yeah,
Right.
I didn't even can't lie to you, it didn't even click in my head that he was the dude from the first one that
Yeah.
she was supposed to have a thing
The
with.
dude, let's say the dude in the first one that I presume I think she sleeps with, because they were basically like their whole the night of fucking that they had at the very
Oh yeah,
beginning of the first part, like whatever that was, like the whole mating ritual weirdo shit, 'cause it's a small farm community, like that was that guy.
okay.
Of course, it doesn't matter. She ends up falling in love with the other dude, so but yeah.
And then he dies.
And then yeah, and then he dies, but that's, yeah. But he dies knowing that his village was saved.
And that
And
core
again,
loves
that
him.
was satisfying. Like, he saves her. He stabs the admiral through the chest, the
Yep.
other side of his chest.
The second
So if you,
Scargiver.
the second Scargiver, but then I loved it too. I just loved how like typical Zach was like, "No, I'll give you that satisfying death that you want." She just whacks his head off. I was like, "Oh yeah, yes, exactly. That's exactly what we need." Like, just actually kill the villain. Like, don't give them chances to come back. God damn it.
I let Cora be
And that's the
dark side
whole
in the
okay.
R-rated and crush his skull under her foot.
And that's the whole other thing, is like we really never like grew to even understand like if that guy was like really just a cyborg, or what the hell that all was. Like how like he dies and then they hook him up to a machine, and then he goes in this weird ass astral plane of existence where he talks to the emperor, and then he comes back to life, and it's like none of that shit was like, we only got like tastes of that
Yeah.
because of like the whole princess's power thing. And that's the other thing too, like at the cheesy shit at the end when the general's like, she's still alive, you didn't think killing her would be that easy. It's like, well, that makes sense because they're probably using her as a battery to fucking be able to do this whole like that weird ass shit at the end of the first part where it's like, well, that's probably got something to do with her. So again, but none of that is ever really answered. And like you said, I believe that like part 3 and 4 are most likely going to be made, or at least that's like, again, he was laying foundation out for like all of that, is what I would presume. I don't know, but the only other thing I was gonna say is that how did you, as a Snyder fan, DC guy, how did you like the Superman saves the day moment?
Oh, you caught that too, huh? Oh, okay. I thought I was the only one. I thought that was just a me thing. My boy
Now,
Jimmy?
as soon as it like,
My boy Jimmy
yeah,
Soups?
yes, Odin, Anthony Hopkins, Hannibal. Yes, how did you like how?
I mean, I was hyped when he finally showed up, but yeah, I couldn't help but notice. I was like, yeah, it feels like Jimmy's
Just, oh,
little Superman. He's got
Justice
his own
League,
cape.
baby.
Got his own cape and
Yeah,
everything.
just literally like the way he does the superhero landing with it and the cape. I was like, oh, Justice League, shall we? And just, yeah, proceeds to fucking kill people. And I was like, good God. Like,
He didn't
I mean,
forget
it
his
was cool. It
roots.
was awesome. It was awesome. It was awesome. It was awesome. It was awesome. Yeah. I'm glad that you got that joke because yes, 100%. I was like, okay.
Yeah, like I thought the whole once we got to the battle, I was way more into it and got into it.
Yeah.
It's a long one, thankfully, because that first hour was a drag. But I don't know how
Like
after
I
these two
even
very like mid movies, I'm still like kind of looking forward to a third one. Like when it ended, I was just like, all right, yeah, I guess. Like I thought it was kind of
now
weird
that
that you'd
like
set up this magical princess just for her to be dead anyway, just by a gunshot. So okay, but
dude, honestly, you know what? With this whole part 2 movie, you know what it's exactly like.
Matrix.
No.
What?
It's literally almost exactly The Last Jedi. Think about it. We're in one setting the entire movie. Just like how in Last Jedi, the majority of the movie is all about these people on this ship in space that are just far enough away from other ship, and the majority of the movie is that whole thing, albeit outside of 3 characters that are maybe in a different spot. But literally, like, that was the other thing about this, where I'm like, so this is a whole universe where we have space travel and aliens and all this different shit. And this part 2 is literally only about this one planet, this one town, the entire time. And I think that's also why the movie feels this part 2, this movie feels long in the tooth because it's like it's just you're at the same location the entire movie.
Yeah,
And that was always the big gripe about The Last Jedi.
among others.
Well, among a lot of them, but like,
Yeah, that's very
let me
true.
have
Honestly,
this
that
one.
that makes sense
No,
because it
no.
honestly was even jarring to me when the rebellion showed up at the end and they showed that one ship with the alien in there. I was
Fuck
like, oh
yeah.
yeah, like it just.
Oh yeah, there's like actual other aliens that live. Like there's not just that. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. Yes, it does. It very much does the Disney taking over Star Wars problem. Why is like every character only a human? Like where are the fucking aliens and stuff? Like again, this is about like shit out in space and a sci-fi fantasy like universe out in space, and why is everyone a Homo sapien?
Yeah, all we get is that
The
droids
fuck? Yeah.
and
We got
exotic
one robot.
animals, exotic fake
Like
animals.
even like especially because again, like part 1 at least established there's fucking weirdo aliens and shit out there, and like they go to a lot of different planets. It's
Yep.
like part 1 at least did a good job of like, hey, we have this whole big ass universe of this shit. This one was just like, yeah, we need to wrap up this whole like conflict that's supposed to take place here. Again, like I do wonder if one, the rated R versions will maybe do these a lot more justice, and then number 2, maybe we're supposed to like watch it as one giant long 4 hours cut, like to actually appreciate all of it. I don't know, but I will say that like that was like the last thing I had.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
I think you and I pretty much are in grand agreements on this movie. I mean, I was kind of feeling a little
Well,
let
it.
down in the end. Um, I've been kind of
Well,
let
I will
down by
say.
both of these, but I also, in the back of
Oh,
my
okay.
mind, I'm just like, hopefully it's just, the classic Warner Brothers problems we're used to. It's just Netflix now. You got these bastardized versions first. Get the shitty ones out of the way, so all your people 13 and above can watch it. Whatever.
I was gonna say I've heard that even while I've heard a bit. I've seen gripes on the internet too of like Netflix still like censoring material that gets adapted, like that they have rights to,
Mm.
like certain like animes and stuff that maybe are like way more violent, sexual, whatever in nature in the mangas, and then they get adapted to Netflix, and like a lot of fans online will just bitch because they're like, yeah, it's like the Netflix censoring because like Netflix doesn't want to make it as like
They like tame
I
it
guess
down.
it's like the like you're saying, it's almost like the brass at Netflix are like, no, like yeah, this is for adults, but like keep this pretty like in line and not too fucking weird, I guess, is like the whole idea. I don't know.
I
I've
think
heard
that
a lot of people or I've read online and like Reddit and stuff of reviews of shows that are Netflix exclusive and people bitching about how like I really wish Netflix didn't have the rights to this. They've adapted it horribly. There's way more better story from the books, blah blah blah.
I think this would probably like set a little better with me if it wasn't, hey, let's release part one, release part two a few months later, and then a little bit after that, we'll give you the R-rated cuts. It's like I wish it could have been like PG-13 part one, week or two later, at most, drop
Yeah.
the R-rated version, then part two, and then the R-rated version, or just release both. Well, they wouldn't release both versions on the same day because that would cut into their views probably. Because like you said, like they get to double up this way, which is why they're doing it this way. But it's just, I mean,
Mhm.
I don't really care that much. I'm not one of them Snyder fans that's on Twitter, keyboard warring all the time. I mean, this is how I defend Zach, I guess, is when we're on
No,
here.
you don't got like
If I do.
5 burners.
No, I don't even have a burner.
I don't either.
uh, but
I do know
whatever.
some people though that are like that though, but
I'm a little worried though. I know Zach said the rated R
oh,
versions
it's
are also
creepy.
like longer, and he said that the PG-13 versions feel like an alternate universe to the Rebel Moon universe. Um, I have faith in that just because we all saw what happened, or what the huge how non-different the Justice League and the Snyder Cut was. So I'm gonna hold out hope that the rated R versions will still be good. The one thing I am worried about still is that dialogue. I don't know if that I don't know if the R version is gonna fix that necessarily, but hopefully at least fills in the gaps, makes it
Apparently, it's entirely different, so we'll see.
But all right, I guess it's ratings time. KP.
Out of 10.
What?
Yeah, fart noise out of 10.
Oh my god.
5. Sorry. Like,
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I am with the Rotten Tomatoes audiences on this one. I am strictly just saying, you know what? I've got a lot of problems with this movie. The action does make up for a little of it, so I'll give you a 5 out of 10. I won't completely shit on you, even though it probably the last 45 minutes you probably think that's all I mean, yeah, that's pretty much all I did, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll give it a 5.5. Little below okay. Yeah, I just the last 45 minutes does do a lot for this movie, but
Right,
um,
like but I just don't like a movie sacrificing like all sensible plot development just to like be saved by a 45-minute long battle action sequence that like yeah is dope, but I don't know.
yeah, I mean, this isn't his best. This doesn't feel like his best day at the office. Well, will he redeem himself with the R-rated cuts? Hopefully, but yeah, I
Oh,
this does,
knowing him, he probably will.
this just feels like a very run of the mill nothing. There's just nothing inherently special about these first two movies, unfortunately. I mean, other than the actual cinematography itself, like there are some, once again, gorgeous, painterly shots and action in this, but it's really, other than that, it's kind of empty.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, guess we'll see you guys when the, the way better versions come out.
Fuck yeah.
But until
This is
then,
just Zach's thing.
okay, Bay. Where can the beautiful people find you?
You can find me in any social and streaming on Twitch at Politisk.
Link below, and you can also find me.
Yes, link below. Yes.
You can
Oh,
also,
yes, he does that. Link below.
You can also find me in all socials at your boy Jsib, and on twitch.tv at your boy Jsib. Mainly Tuesdays, Thursdays, sprinkle in some other special fun days. Here pretty soon, I think KP and I still have plans to do some streaming of Final Fantasy 14 Online coming out soon. Not soonish, but like in the future-ish, somewhere near-ish.
In the future-ish, somewhere in there, we might as well. Yeah.
I don't know about KP here, but I'll be a complete noob in that game. I haven't really played an MMO since I put like 10 to 15 years into World of Warcraft. So, that's
really
a lie.
have
I played
played
DCU.
it,
Oh, and we played Sword Art together. I'm a liar. All right, well, I just haven't played Final Fantasy MMOs.
I will say this. I played Final Fantasy 14 about 4 or 5 years ago, and that was the last time I touched it. It's fun. It's honestly a lot like Sworder that you kind of really just play it for the story, and then the end game is not the best.
Pretty shallow, like this movie.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Oh no, what happened? What's happening? I'm turning into Snyder here. What the fuck? All right, we need to go. All right, we need to go, KP. I can't be all recording anymore.
Okay.
All right.
Peace.
See ya later.